My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. A very good evening to you, and today on Worldview, we will examine United Nations human rights bodies' damning statistics on civilian casualties in Ukraine from February 24 through May 30. Next up, will be us bringing you details of Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese revealing the first ministry of his new Labour government, featuring record 13 women. Plus, the continued gloom from the recent Texas horror will also take center stage as we will x-ray events leading to U.S. Texas Governor Greg Abbott declaring a state of disaster in the city of Uvalde. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First on Worldview today, Chancellor Olaf Scholz says Germany will supply Ukraine with modern anti-aircraft missiles and radar systems following pleas from Kiev and German opposition parties to step up heavy weapons deliveries to the country. Scholz told lawmakers in the Bundestag that the government had decided to provide Ukraine with Iris-T missiles developed by Germany together with other NATO nations. He said Germany will also supply Ukraine with radar systems to help locate enemy artillery. Meanwhile, President Biden has announced that the United States will send Ukraine more advanced rocket systems to help it defend itself. He said the weapons long requested by Ukraine are to help it strike enemy forces more precisely from a longer distance. Until now, the U.S. had refused to request out of fear the weapons could be used against targets in Russia. In the meantime, Russia is warning that a U.S. decision to supply advanced rocket systems and munitions to Ukraine will increase the risk of a direct confrontation. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov stated this while addressing state news agency. He said Russia viewed the U.S. military aid to Ukraine as extremely negative, particularly singling out Washington's plans to supply Kiev with the HIMARS. In a related development, United Nations human rights body has confirmed 9,029 civilian casualties in Ukraine from February 24 until midnight local time on May 30. The group's latest civilian casualty update confirmed that 4,113 people had been killed and 4,116 others injured. However, the organization noted that the actual figures were considerably higher, as information was still pending from areas of intense hostilities such as Mariupol, Izium, and Popasna. Still on the war, Ukraine's parliament has dismissed Lyudmila Denisova from her post as Human Rights Commissioner. According to reports, the reasons for Denisova's dismissal are in relation to inadequate performance, including establishing humanitarian corridors, arranging prisoner swaps, and ensuring against the deportation of Ukrainians from occupied territory. Denisova's dismissal also reportedly related to focusing the Ombudsman's media activity on the numerous details of unnatural sexual offenses and child sexual abuses in the occupied territories, which were unsupported by evidence and only harmed Ukraine. Away from that, Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson says the Nordic country would continue its dialogue with Turkey over its objections concerning Sweden's application to join the NATO military alliance. Andersson told a news conference with UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres that she was looking forward to constructive meetings with Turkey in the near future. She said Sweden's responses to demands would include working directly with Turkey to sort out any issues and misunderstandings that there might be. It could be recalled that Sweden and Finland both applied to join NATO last month, but their bids have faced objections from Turkey, which accuses them of being safe havens for Kurdish militants and wants them to reverse an arms exports ban. In a separate development, Denmark's Foreign Minister J.P. Kofod will ask the country's parliament to back Finland and Sweden's bids to join the NATO military alliance. The country's foreign ministry, who confirmed this to newsmen, said the request would be made tomorrow. All 30 NATO allies are to unanimously approve any enlargement of the United States-led security body. Meanwhile, polling stations are open in Denmark for voters to decide whether to abandon their country's 30-year-old opt-out from the European Union's common defense policy. The referendum is the latest example of European countries seeking closer defense links with allies in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It follows Sweden and Finland's historic bids to join NATO, which plans to take up their applications at the end of the month. Some 4.2 million Danish voters are eligible to cast ballots in the referendum. Elsewhere, Australia's new cabinet has been sworn in at a ceremony in Canberra. A day earlier, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese revealed the first ministry of his new Labour government, featuring record 13 women in the 30-member team. Linda Burney will become the first Indigenous woman and second Indigenous person to serve as the Minister for Indigenous Australians. Ed Husic and Anne Ali will become the first Muslim ministers in Australian history, taking on the industry and science and early childhood education and youth portfolios respectively. Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles will be made Defence Minister and Claire O'Neill the Minister for Home Affairs. Now we have news that a Texas law forbidding social media giants from regulating certain forms of online speech has been blocked by the U.S. Supreme Court. The legislation would have prevented larger tech companies from banning or censoring Texas users for their views. Republicans in the state said it was necessary to combat what they claimed was social media's liberal bias. However, tech groups argue that the law was a violation of the private company's freedom of speech rights. In a rare 5-4 ruling, the U.S.'s top court agreed to a request supported by tech giants to temporarily block the law from coming into force. Meanwhile, U.S. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has declared a state of disaster in the city of Uvalde. This follows the shooting on May 24 at Robb Elementary School, which left 19 children and 2 teachers dead. Abbott said the disaster declaration freed up the many resources available through the state of Texas and local jurisdictions to continue providing support to all who were impacted and work in the community unencumbered by regulations necessary to respond to the tragedy. After the break, we'll look at how Chinese military's quest for territorial expansion is unfolding. We have reports of the military saying it conducted a combat readiness patrol in the sea and airspace around the self-ruled island of Taiwan. This and more after the break. Sit tight. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now in China, Chinese President Xi Jinping has sent a message of condolence to his Brazilian counterpart, Jair Bolsonaro, over the heavy casualties caused by floods and landslides triggered by heavy rainfall. Reports say so far at least 100 people in northeastern Brazil have lost their lives. Meanwhile, Chinese military says it conducted a combat readiness patrol in the sea and airspace around the self-ruled island of Taiwan, which China claims as its own territory. In a statement, the People's Liberation Army Eastern Theater Command said the exercises had taken place in recent days and were a necessary action against what it described as U.S.-Taiwan collusion. According to the command, the United States has frequently made moves on the Taiwan issue, saying one thing and doing another, instigating support for Taiwan independence forces, which will push Taiwan into dangerous situation. Taiwan had reported the largest incursion by Chinese aircraft into its air defense identification zone since January, with 30 planes, most of them fighter jets, entering the southwest of the zone. The incident reportedly took place as a U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth was visiting the island. In Germany now, for the next 3 months, Germans will be able to travel the country for just €9 a month in a drive to tackle the soaring cost of living. All local and regional transport on trains, buses and metro is included in the government's initiative, although intercity trains are not. The cheap tickets are also aimed at getting people to leave their cars. However, full fuel tax has also been reduced by around 30 cents a litre for petrol, bringing prices down below €2. The tax has been brought down to the EU minimum again for the next 3 months, so diesel prices are also being cut by around 14 cents a litre. Away from there, Canada has announced it will temporarily decriminalize the possession of small amounts of some illicit drugs in British Columbia, BC. The province asked for the criminal code exemption after overdoses claimed more than 2,000 lives in BC last year. This time limited 3-year trial is the first of its kind in Canada. Adults will be allowed to possess a combined total of 2.5 grams of opioids, cocaine, methamphetamine, and MDMA. While those substances will remain illegal, adults are found in possession for personal use will not be arrested, charged, or have their drugs seized. Instead, they will be offered information on available health and social services. On a sad note, now 11 people are dead and more than 20 missing after Hurricane Agatha struck Oaxaca state in Mexico. Agatha made landfall on Monday as a Category 2 hurricane, the strongest to hit Mexico's Pacific coast in the month of May since records began in 1949. Heavy rain brought by Agatha triggered landslides and flash flooding. Most of the victims were swept away by rivers or buried in mudslides. Agatha arrived on Mexico's coast near Puerto Angel with wind gusts of up to 169 kilometers per hour, but lost strength as it moved inland. On a final note, Korean pop stars BTS have visited the White House to discuss anti-Asian hate with U.S. President Joe Biden. This is crimes targeting East Asians have risen dramatically in the U.S. amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The boy band members, all in their 20s, vowed to help Biden tackle the issue. BTS member Suga said it was not wrong to be different, adding that equality could begin when people opened up and embraced all of their differences.
Today, on the final day of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, I'm excited to welcome some special guests to the briefing room today, pop phenoms BTS. Woohoo! While many of you may know BTS as Grammy-nominated international icons, they also play an important role as youth ambassadors, promoting a message of respect and positivity. After this briefing, they will join President Biden in a discussion about Asian inclusion, representation, and diversity, as well as addressing an anti-Asian hate crimes and discrimination.
And with that, we wrap up our package for you on Worldview today. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. My name is Xavier Robert, reaching you from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran, and you have been watching Worldview on Spectrum TV. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.